Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Weller and today I want to talk about Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Is it terrifying? This is a review of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Lineages are a new concept which includes more flexibility around ability score increases, while still being in line with Dungeons & Dragons 5e race creation guidelines. Lineages will not appeal to all dungeon masters, but it is the direction that many players want, and Wizards of the Coast is providing the mechanics. The Dhampir lineage is a revised race for players wanting to have a vampire character while trying to balance a dungeon master's fear of overpowered character abilities. The Dhampir is exceptional until you analyse the vampiric bite, which again relies on attacks using a constitution modifier, and that will frustrate players. The hexblood lineage allows players to have a character with a mysterious witchcraft origin, which includes a fair amount of character development risk. Hexbloods could transform into a hag. The telepathic message, remote viewing, and hex magic abilities are inspired concepts that most dungeon masters will accept, in my opinion. The reborn lineage is a Frankenstein monster or revenant as a player option without being undead. The deathless nature and knowledge from the past life features are extremely useful, as they stack multiple race abilities into one lineage. I can see dungeon masters allowing this when a character dies, and players wanting to continue with the same character even if they have no memory of their past life. The dark gifts have been expanded to include curses, supernatural powers, rather than just character death options. Dungeon masters will find dark gifts useful for darklords if they are creating a stat block for them or an NPC. The dark gifts as player character features would require them to have heavy modification to avoid just giving players another gameplay benefit. These dark gifts are disappointing in my opinion, with drawbacks being narrative story elements that can be easily forgotten, and benefits being 3 mechanical game abilities. This lame duck of a section makes me quite angry because I have seen better dark gifts in the past. The Bard subclass College of the Spirits is a mess. This character archetype features situational and poor abilities, with the Spirit Tales table presenting the worst chaotic random combat benefits I have seen. They also make no sense. This class is missing the ability to talk with the dead, see spirits in an invisible form, and shift to the ethereal plane, which I am sure players expected. The Warlock subclass, the Undead, is good for a Warlock. This Warlock is easily exploited by multiclassing with one level of Undead Warlock just to get the Form of Dread feature. Personally, I don't like the subclass as it has nothing built around raising undead beings, and it doesn't have enough non-combat options. The optional background features in the book are a mixed bag, with many repeating existing backgrounds or very specific situational benefits. The outstanding background is the spirit medium. The horror characteristics that cover personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws are comprehensive, with multiple ideas on a D12 table, which is much more than normal. The Haunted One background is not new, and it is reprinted from the Curse of Strahd, but it makes sense for the domains of Dread. There have been some additions to the skill proficiencies in languages, but the Heart of Darkness remains the same. The Investigator background might be a repeat from the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, but I'm not sure. The feature Official Inquiry fleshes out every aspect of a detective that a player might want, while the skill and tool proficiencies fit the background. The Horror Trinkets table offers 100 very unique and mysterious non-magical knickknacks that can be used as talismans, domain access keys, and very odd magical wondrous items. The potential of trinkets is mostly hinted at and not developed fully, but it is a major tool for everybody. The section on creating darklords is full of many useful questions that help develop a complex non-player character, and it has 2 villainous random tables of ideas. This should be enough information for experienced and homebrew dungeon masters with access to other Dungeons & Dragons supplements. Beginner and intermediate dungeon masters might struggle without more tables of ideas related to the Darklord's creation questions. Customizing your own domains of dread does exactly what it needs to do, with comprehensive questions and bucket loads of answers in the form of random tables. There is so much vital information for adventure creation, dungeon masters will not be disappointed by the genres of horror. The genres of horror is excellent. It covers different types of horror such as body, cosmic, dark, folk, ghost, gothic, disaster, occult detective, psychological and slasher horror. Most of these horror types are broken up on tables giving you definitions, important questions, typical monsters, villains, torments, settings, adventure plots and sites. The section on other horror genres is just too small to be useful. The information on various domains of dread is well summarized and usually includes a world map. The domains follow a sensible format of overview, domain features, settlements and sites, role-playing the darklord, adventure hooks, and specific domain and darklord tools. Unfortunately, Sithicus, the largest domain of dread, is missing. The types of domains are compiled from multiple supplements covering horror cliches like Dracula, Illithid nightmares, political corruption, carnival terrors, a doomed world, a masquerade of deception, zombie apocalypse, desert pharaoh tyranny, wizard experimentation, a deadly dream world, endless war, a lycanthrope nation, Frankenstein, a ghost world, an unstoppable plague, witch bargains, and jungle survival. The smaller sections on other domains of dread are brief and mostly useless to you. Non-player characters that can be used in the domains of dread have been included in a summary profile form. The advice on running gothic and horror themed adventures is a mixture of great advice, conflicting advice, stupid advice, and guidance pandering to a modern social politically correct trending propaganda that will maximize market profits while hopefully not offending anyone. Dungeons & Dragons has never done horror roleplay games very well, so if dungeon masters get confused, I'm not surprised by this advice. There is a brief description of Ravenloft props being used as game tools, such as the Tarokid card deck and the Spirit board, but then it refers you to the adventure Curse of Strahd. There's simply not enough information for dungeon masters to use the Tarokid card deck. The horror toolkit covers the basics of curses, fear, stress, haunted traps, and survivors of horror. There is one adventure called the House of Lament, a cliché haunted house adventure with a female Dracula backstory. This adventure is suitable for intermediate and experienced dungeon masters rather than beginner dungeon masters, in my opinion. This adventure does a reasonable job of presenting a ghost story rather than a Ghostbusters action movie. The monster lore and some of the art is very nasty, but not everything. The monster stat blocks are full of boring mechanics, but there are many monsters with damage immunity that magic weapons can't overcome. There are no stat blocks for the darklords, which I think is very smart. Being able to kill a darklord would have diminished their fearsome impact. A spirit board has been included in the appendix. There is no index in this book, which would have been very useful for monster stat blocks and adventure element tables. I'm really not fond of Wizards of the Coast not including an index. The artwork is a combination of creepy monsters or images and modern cartoon-like Scooby-Doo style pictures sanitized for a younger audience. This book is designed for players and dungeon masters, but the dungeon master is clearly the focus. There are many horror roleplay game tools, rules and ideas that appear to be player options when in fact they require dungeon master discretion and approval. This book doesn't create dread, fear or horror in me at all. I also think this book was probably designed more around Dungeons & Dragons Adventurers League play or public games. Do I think this is a good book? I would say it has some good tools in it and it has some stuff you probably will not like. Now if you found this video helpful, I have a live stream that goes into far more detail on this book if you want to go and check that out. Otherwise I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters covering every aspect of Dungeons & Dragons. If you want to support the channel so I keep doing video content like this, you can through Patreon, the Amazon affiliate links down in the description, the merchandise shelf underneath all of my videos, or just watch my videos, that's fine too. Do all the usual YouTube things like share, like and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live, and I go live every week and when I publish new videos. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.